Okay, we're back. Um, as you may be aware, another lockdown, so that can only mean one thing. It's more episodes of the Quarantine Grind. So we're back to do another one today. I haven't played any poker since my last episode that I did. So again, it's going to be another one where I'm trying to get back into the swing of things. A few tables of 10 and probably 500 hands is what I'll shoot for. Just quickly mention, I've somehow managed to make it to 100 subscribers, which is just, I don't know. I guess it's not that many, but it's pretty weird that many people are interested in what I'm doing. So anyone that's watching or subscribing and stuff, that's really cool. Commenting, I'm going to reply to some comments. Probably would have done that already by the time this video goes up. So yeah, thanks for that. And let's crack on and see if I can play some decent stuff. That would be a good start. I've adjusted my buttons a little bit to a little bit more hipster, because why not? I'm going to open the 7-8 against 2 greens, although that was probably not the best idea because this guy doesn't seem to have much of a folding interest. I'm looking for a lot of excuses to bet here, and I'm seeing a backdoor spade draw and a backdoor straight draw, so that is what I'm going to go with. See if I can win that pot early, and if I don't improve, then I will be giving up the turn. But with 8 high, there's not going to be many other ways you win that other than betting. Open up the 8s and get raised, and this seems like a pretty clear call. Don't see any other reason to anything else there. Not the worst flop in the world, but could be better. He does lead for quite large and quite quickly, which makes me think he's quite strong, but we certainly won't be folding at this juncture. That's probably quite a good turn. It's going to make him slow down with some things. The 10 is going to be quite a significant portion of my range when I peel the flop. But then again, I don't really want to be betting this turn too much. I'm going to be folding King Jack. I'm just going to try and get to showdown cheaply. That may not be the worst card in the world, but I expect to hear from him now with an overpair, and I think almost certainly my showdown is going to be the best thing to take here. I'm surprised we didn't see him value bet that river, but you know, people are quite nitty, so that's fine. We may get Bean involved again soon. He's actually not. He's still working, so it's hard to get him during the times that I like to make videos. So if people like seeing Bean involved for a little bit of like bounce off, or if you want to see some coaching, then just let me know. I do live videos because they seem to do better than the other ones, so I think that's what people want to see. So that's what I'm going to continue to do for now. 3.5 from under the gun, that's quite large. We're going to defend this ace jack, and then probably fold to larger size bets and peel smaller bets. And I think we're just going to, if I had the ace of clubs, I would continue, but this just seems a little bit too optimistic. Need to catch up a little bit too much there, I think. Against under the gun raiser. If I was facing like a small blind versus big blind situation, then I'd probably consider just floating that, even like maybe button or even cut off. But against under the gun, I'm not so interested. Flop an open ender here, and I think the best thing to do is to go ahead and raise. We're not going to be. We're going to give ourselves a couple of chances to win the hand. It's going to be a really good board for our range quite often. So I think, yeah, raising is good. And we get to check back some turns when he calls, because he's going to have to check a lot of turns. And I think this turn's a great turn to check back. If we hadn't have improved, I probably would have barreled. Interesting hand to back into. And he does bet. He can certainly have some flush draws. I don't think there's any value in raising here. I don't see myself getting any action from worse. That seems about right for a Ludra, from what I can remember. Very interesting. Yeah, so yeah, I like his play, to be honest. But very unfortunate, like double case sevens to stitch me up there. But I like my flop play, and I like my turn check, and I obviously like my river call. So anytime we do everything mostly right, we're going to be pretty pleased with ourselves. Remember, the main thing is to do things right more often than not, regardless of result. Decide to 3-bet the Queen 10 because button steals are quite prevalent. It's a very playable hand in 3-bet pots, and we like to 3-bet. Fold this. Just keep on my label game. For anyone that doesn't know my labels, green is seen with a less than full stack, which means they're generally going to be worse more often than not. And then pink is terrible. Blue is, I've seen them do something okay. I cannot remember for the life of me this guy, but apparently he's done something okay that I respected, but he's also less than full, so he's in the middle. We called with 7s here, and then 4-way, we're going to let this go. Seems fair enough. I don't really like ace-8. It's kind of on the borderline of what I like to go with. This guy limps, and I think 4 big blinds is good. Ben Davies 5, may well be a Spurs fan. And against the 3-bet in position, we're going to go ahead and take a flop here with our hand. Seems very reasonable. Very, very bad flop. Going to be giving up as soon as we are allowed. Nothing to say here. No backdoor, apart from the straight draw, which won't be clean in a lot of times. And I'm not interested in barreling if he checks. I'll just take my overcards. We could be tempted to barrel later on, but I don't think it's a good idea to take everything that you, if an opponent's going to be balanced to any degree, I don't think it's a good idea to take every single hand as a bluff. Like, we just have no equity here. And he's going to be taking a lot of hands as check calls. I think checking again is fine. This river I'm going to be tempted to bluff on. So we opened here and got led into on the flop. This is for over pot bet. We have to call, but we don't particularly love it because this kind of smashes his range a little bit. And then he sizes down on the turn. We do block some flush draws, which isn't great, but I certainly want to continue against this opponent. Seems quite aggressive. Can't imagine why he would have an 8 and donk bet into me twice. But, who knows? 8-6 maybe. This guy just seems like he's very, very aggressive. I don't like having the King of Hearts, but I think the King of Hearts is going to be like probably a card that he uses to raise quite often pre. So I am going to call here, but I'm not in love with it. Yeah, the King of Hearts was putting me off a little bit, but then again, there's a few combos with the King of Hearts in that he's gonna want to 3-bet with pre rather than just call, especially when he's that aggressive, which makes me think the King of Hearts is less relevant, although that might be a stretch. But the main thing is this guy is calling the big blind. He can have all sorts going on. If he's representing a hand with an 8 in it, he's really specifically telling me he has 8-6 or 8-9, and I block 8-9. So I am leaning towards like, he could have flopped a straight for sure. But given that how aggressive the opponent is, I think we can just about find enough reasons to go ahead and call. I think it's close. I think it's close. I don't know. I don't think we're printing money there, but I think we look using the stats of our opponent. I think we're going to have a pretty high frequency bluff from him. So I certainly didn't love it, but I love the idea of him bluffing me a lot less. Tens open under the gun and fold the Jack 6. We're looking a little bit on the aggressive side here, but it's only 57 hands, so we won't worry too much. We do get that one through. Queen 7, maybe a close defend, depending on what size he makes it. The antes, I'm still not properly sure what to do with. It's more the fact that I'm no longer on autopilot like I used to be. Like I literally could just, my head just knew exactly what size I was making in every situation, and now I'm having to pause, which is partly the reason why I've had to move down to 2 tables, along with the fact obviously that I haven't played in long time, and that's not usually a good idea to plunge yourself back into 3 tables when you're trying to learn how to incorporate antis into your game and also at the same time not really remember what you're doing. So from a green, we get 3-bet. We don't know anything about him, but obviously our 10s are going to be taken as a call. A flop is either very, very good or very, very bad. One of those situations. His sizing I like. If he has any combo of overcards or over pairs, this is a good bet size. So we're going to call. The turn is either even better or even worse. If he continues betting, then I can't imagine a situation. I mean, obviously we're calling this turn, but this river's going to be pretty close. A jack shouldn't be too relevant, but I do think we are going to have to find a fold if he jams, given how well he reps queens, kings, and aces. And I think that this bet is just like trying to squeeze me when I have 10s and 8s and 9s and 7s and stuff, because the jack is just like a scarier card for me perceivably. I do want to fold here. I don't know, this might be close, but I don't think that many people are going to choose that sizing with a bluff, is my reasoning. The jack also definitely could be in his bluffing range, but I just don't think that many people would. After I call 2 streets, it really looks like I have like kind of exactly what I have. And unless he double mind gamed me with the green tag, then, you know, I mean, he can win that hand. That's okay. We took this as a 3-bet, this 10-9, and we got called. I'm going to start with a check and obviously not fold to a bet. It's pretty good for his range. Probably slightly better for his range than mine, maybe marginally. But obviously we're gonna be continuing. Try to get to showdown cheaply, maybe back into some more equity. Turns a 4, which changes not a lot. If he bets again, we're probably going to have a pretty tough decision. And I think we're going to have to let this go now. Oops, didn't mean to do that. So we called this this 3-bet and flop top pair. We're not going anywhere in a 3-bet pot against the green with these kind of stats, although his c-bet is quite low. We're going to call once and then stack off. Seem to be in a lot of spots, 81 hands in. But yeah, like I said, not going anywhere. What the fuck? God, I love this game. So we're going to pink him. Our player's good there. Terrible from him on the pre-flop. Well, not terrible, but pretty bad. His flop play, bad. I'm going to 4-bet. And then just absolutely fuck off on the turn. So horrible. I can only imagine this guy's going to take 3 streets if he didn't turn a set. But I already decided, in a 3-bet pot against that kind of opponent, there's just no way you can be folding. So 85 hands in, I'm kind of remembering why Ludra was so bad for my mental health over the course of the first lockdown. I don't think we've made too many bad plays. I could be wrong. I'm obviously not the ultimate authority on this kind of thing, but I do seem like I've been on the unfortunate side. So we called a 3-bet here. Unfortunately, he's not got that much, which is going to mean that if he bets that, then we can't float. So that's unfortunate. Just some not ideal situations developing so far. Not even 100 hands in, probably down close to 2 binds, I would have thought. We did have that one good hand that we managed to call a bluff on. But other than that, we're just seem to be just getting owned by some pretty rough runouts, like that 7-7 run out and the deuce on the turn. We're going to size up slightly against 2 opponents here, and we're going to call with the 8s in position. I mean, we had that 10s hand that was pretty ugly as well, which I could have gone either way with on that river. Let's just call this flop. Another full house that I'm not that happy with. I think protecting our hand against ace high here is going to be pretty good. So we'll bet 8. That seems about right. We're going to get led into on this river. The Ludra man. Apparently not. Yeah, I mean, okay. Maybe we can make this a video on how to mentally deal with a Ludra. Because I'm not even 100 hands in, and yeah, there's been some pretty I would say unfortunate spots. But really, that's just poker, and if you can't handle that, then you shouldn't be playing. So you literally just have to play every spot as it comes. You know, don't. I'm going to try and find a way of putting this. I'm not going to 3-bet here because he's quite short stacked, so I'm going to peel in position. Don't take the 100 hands in the nutshell. You know, they're not going to happen that often, that close together. So, yeah, try not to worry about it in that sense. Just know that over the course of time, if you're making good decisions, then you're going to be fine. And if you let a bad run of 100 hands get the better of you, then you know you're going to be struggling to make good decisions more often than not. I sort of glazed over the fact that I just overbet this turn. He didn't project a lot of strength when he checked the flop. We have some pretty good equity, and we don't mind him calling. So I like the overbet in spots like that where we've got loads of equity, and I'd also do that with maybe a set or a straight that needs protection. So and that's generally just to size up for the river, but also has those benefits as well. So feeling okay about my play, actually. Obviously, it's hard to feel like that when you're getting owned or perceivably owned. But no, we see another check back here, and I think our hand is strong enough to value bet this river for a small sizing. He's going to cling on, but being a pink, he's going to cling on with some stuff that he shouldn't be, and also just own us with 10s. His play is pretty good, actually. He would probably have bet more had I checked, so I'm okay with that as like a blocker / value bet, because I wasn't going to fold the river. Do get 3-bet with a 5-4. We are out of position, and he's made it a pretty decent sizing, so we're going to toss. Just going to check on my tracker how owned we're getting. Yep. Almost 2 buy-ins. But yeah, like I said, don't think we can be too unhappy with... I mean, I like it when people say in the comments... I had someone in the comments the other day saying that he thought one of my plays in one of my hands was horrendous or something, or awful, and I completely agree. I'm going to reply to him to say that. So I like to hear, like, this mainly started as a way of me improving, so if anyone has any input, good or bad, on any hands I play, then I always want to hear it. I'm not saying that every play that I make is perfect and good and stuff, so yeah. That's no problem for me. I'm going to defend the Jack-9. Above average. We don't want to check raise here because we do have a 9, and this is going to be quite strong for his hand too a lot of the time. So I'm going to go ahead and just call. That's a pretty good turn, and we certainly will check raise this turn. He's going to bet ace king here for sure. We do have obviously the 9 and then some flush draw potential as well. We'll go ahead and make this 15. I don't think he can fold an ace yet. And then the river, we're going to go for some value. If he has an ace, which is going to be the vast majority of the time that he calls that turn, then he's going to have a tough time against large sizing. So we don't want to go too large, and obviously we don't want to do that anyway because our hand's not like the nuts. It's just pretty good. And it's a good chance he folded an ace there. Free betting the ace king, flopping air, going for the check call. Unless he bets large, in which case we'll just give. Checks back quite quickly, but I do think that checking again is best. He's going to check back. He's going to have more 5s, 7s, and jacks than I am, generally speaking. And I think that this is pretty close to a 0% chance of me winning this hand now, given how much of this is going to be in his range. I'm surprised that he didn't bluff if he had worse than ace high there. Oh, yeah, ace 10, so I don't mind his check back. But he could probably think about maybe specifically bluffing against the hand that I have. I have to call here with ace 7 because he's made it 1 extra big and I'm getting like 5 to 1, so maybe that was a call, sorry. Whoops, might have jumped the gun there, but that's fine. Yeah, so we're going to go for 500 hands. I would have made actually a video earlier this week, or last week, but I bought some new parts for my computer and it just wasn't working. I was trying to, my new CPU was just not taking, so I had about 3 days of problems with that before I could get my PC to boot, so it set me back a couple of days, but not to worry. 3-bet the 9s seems pretty good. We don't have a small blind calling range, so unless we're like completing in a multi-way pot. About to get 4-towned, which is certainly not at the top of my Christmas list. Okay, we don't mind that. It is a tough hand to play after you get called there. You certainly don't mind winning, especially with the cheeky little antes in there. Um, 10-9, 2.3. I just feel like it's just too small with this. I mean, how can I fold? Checking and calling. Checking again seems good. I mean, if you get called, you don't really like it. If you get raised, you certainly don't like it. And then checking to try and get to showdown and potentially calling a river bet seems good. If I let him back into a jack, that would upset me. But I think I'm more likely to make money checking against and letting him maybe bluff with king high or something. He had a 5, so he wasn't going to bluff. We're going to make this 8 with the antes in there. So normally we would 7.5, so we're going to go 8. And 8-9 suited in position is just like a really nice hand to go ahead and do that with. And position's going to serve us quite well here. Hopefully when he checks, what are you doing? So he leads. If he had a good hand on this ace high board, I would expect him to more often than not just go ahead and check to me. Obviously we check it. Seemingly a solid strategy is to check it every time. So I'm not really sure, unless he had a flush draw, why he would bet, or obviously I don't think you should bet any because it's so hard to balance that range with good hands and weaker hands, which is why most people just check always. And now we have a fold on the king of hearts, for sure, fold. But we couldn't just give up to 1 bet, given I would assume that he's using, if he's trying to develop a leading strategy there, I assume that it has flush draws in it, high proportion of the time. This is one of those situations where we can complete in the small blind that I was talking about, and we get an okay flop that we don't really want to continue on but might have to. I think we can probably just go ahead and pitch this. It's going to be pretty tough to play the remaining streets out of position, which is generally why we don't just call in the small without really good implied odds, which is what we had there. So if we see like 8-8-4 there, then we're going to have a really good time, obviously. Opening under the gun with the 5s. God, I bet this is really close. I just can't fold. 3-1. I should probably fold there, but it's just so much value. I think we can find a fold in this flop. I'd like to have any equity at all. Like if I had 4-6, 4-7, 7-3, anything like that, I'd probably bluff. I am going to bluff here because I've got 9 high, and it's really tough to win with 9 high. I think maybe with the board pairing, it would have been better to just give up. But 9 high is so bad, and I can have. I would certainly do that with a 5 or an 8. So, you know. 300 and so hands to make these stacks back that we've managed to blow. But as we've mentioned, we don't think we've made significant errors in the process. We just think we've been unfortunate. Going to fold the king 9 off against an under the gun raise. It seems like we're going to be dominated a bit too often to make that value, to make that profitable. Oh, this guy's still playing this stake. I mean, he's pretty solid. I'm surprised that he hasn't moved up yet. We're going to fold the 10-8 against the shorter stack. He made a good sizing as well. Just getting 3-towned all over the place. Maybe we need to start fighting a bit more for some of these pots. Okay. Well, we are going to 3-bet on the larger side. 3s is optional, but I think with the antes, we're probably going to have to open it. I was really worried that he was going to do that. It just seems like some people just like make it like 4.5x because they've got aces and stuff. This is just a really horrible spot. He did it so quickly. I've been in this kind of situation before. I ended up folding. Under the gun, I think I'm just. I can't imagine that's going to win me money. I'm going to be like stone dead or flipping. And I've got 13 blinds in there, so, you know. I mean, it's horrible, but the guy's terrible, and if I see him again, I'm going to make more money by being in my way than his way. I can't just call the bet, I have to go all in, so I think that would be probably an overplay with ace king in that situation. Just stacking off. I think this is a mix. I think that's actually probably just a call, but there's nothing wrong with being aggressive in those situations, as we're seeing like from other people owning us with 3-bets. And our stats are, I would like to say, are pretty in the realms of good for this like the anti games and stuff. Man, this is just like, all I need is a half decent spot, and I think I'm going to make some pretty significant EV gains. But it just seems like everyone just backs into things against me for the time being, so it's going to be hard. 4x here seems good. Terrible flop. Left. Going to be way in his range. We can bluff this turn when he checks for sure with our spade pickup and overcard. Lovely stuff. Going to defend against that for sure. I think maybe we can start folding to 2.5. Like I said, the dynamics are confusing to me, being so out of touch with the games. We're not too concerned about how many binds we lose. We're just, obviously 10NL is not going to really, unless I go on an absurd downswing, it's not really going to affect my bankroll. given that I'm very well rolled to play 16, but I just don't feel confident currently. I could have taken that as a 4-bet, but that's a bit spicy. In 10NL, you really want to get your fundamentals down at 10. Just really solidly practice those fundamentals. You're not going to see too many people out of line, so I think we're just going to play for this guy's chips, and I'm going to have to stack off against this guy if he does go for it. That's the situation we wanted. I assume this guy will go all in. He hasn't. It's going to be tough for him to win, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him find a way. Yeah, that seems like about right. For him to find a way. Do sort of backdoor flush. Yeah. I just, when I saw it, I was like, yeah, that's for sure a kind of hand that will find a way. So yeah, shrug it off. We're definitely going to call this dealing with mental side of poker for sure. Because yeah, we've had some pretty unfortunate situations so far. So yeah, just if we're going to talk more about the mental side of the game, I should probably mention a few more things, if that's going to be the topic of this video. So I find personally that when I'm talking myself through situations, whether it's on camera or not camera, sorry, or whether it's on a video or off a video, I can compose myself a lot better than if I'm just sort of clicking buttons, and that sometimes can make me upset if I'm not like if I'm not focusing on my next decision, then I can dwell a lot on that decision and not think about my next decision. So I would say that one good thing to do is concentrate on your next decision and talk to yourself, and that's a good way of learning as well, talking to yourself through each situation. And that I find can help me get through situations like I've seen today, where things aren't necessarily going my way. But yeah, you just have to remember that this is just this is 228 hands. I've got hundreds of thousands of hands of this game. I've seen all sorts of stuff. So yeah, on that note, the more hands you play, the less tilting it gets, because you know that this is just how it is, and sometimes it's going to go for you and sometimes it's not, and this today is not going for me, but that's okay, because sometimes it will, like when you flop the nuts with Jack 10 suited after you 3-bet and 2 people call. So shelving the mental side for a second while we deal with this hand. I'm going to sneeze, I think. Excuse me. We'll start with a less than half pot bet. This guy we want to keep interested because he seems pretty bad. He's not interested, and this guy will probably not be interested either. I maybe could have let a card come off there, but I don't really want to see a jack or a 10 or a 6 or anything, so I think it's fine. And if they don't have anything there, it's going to be tough for them to pick up stuff that they want to continue with anyway, so that's fine. We'll take what we can get at this point. I'm just happy not to get cooled. I'll take my 20 big blinds. My stats, like I said, are pretty much where I want them to be. 13% 3-bet may be about right. I think somewhere between 10 to 12 is ideal for the anti games. People should be sitting more, but I'm not convinced that they do. So I'll adjust if I notice anything that makes me want to. I'll open this ace-5 if it folds to me and fold to any other action. This guy hasn't quick folded, so I assume we're getting raised. Fold a couple of janky hands. Got halfway through here, and you know, we're feeling pretty sorry for ourselves. But like I've said, talk through the next spot. Make sure you're making the right decisions, because when you're having a bad time, a rough run of luck, you'll find that when you start losing in poker, quite often you'll start losing more, and when you start winning, you'll start winning more. And that's just because of what it does to your focus. Like, you feel like if you're winning, like, oh yeah, I'm playing well, like, you know, this is going well for me, that's going well for me. You feel like your decision making is clearer. At least I find that sometimes. So when it's going badly, I think you experience the opposite effect more often than not, that maybe you lose confidence in your decisions a little bit if you don't have like a lot of experience, or you're just trying to get into the game. You might try and adjust and say, well, that just happens anyway, so, you know, what's the point? I'm just gonna, and you're clicking buttons thinking about a previous hand, and, you know, you don't want to get into that situation. You want to just, as soon as that hand's gone, think about your next hand. Think about you know, what's the optimal way to play your next hand, because if you don't, then not only are you going to lose the hand that you lost that pissed you off, you're going to lose more hands, not because of anything other than you're pissed off because you can't concentrate because you're pissed off about another hand. So I would say just focus on your decision making out loud, and just keep taking the hits. Like, just roll with the punches as much as you can. I'm going to bluff here. I'd expect to have heard from a king on the turn, and I can beat some ace highs out. He's thinking about it with like ace 10 and stuff. I got called earlier on here with ace 10 in a similar situation. It looks like he probably folded on this occasion. But like, similar situation. Like, if I tried to bluff against specifically an ace 10 kind of ace high kind of hand earlier, and I got called, I can't let that not let me bluff there, because it's the correct play. The amount of time he took to fold, I think he probably had an ace high that was better than mine. So obviously I don't think he folded a pair, but what we were going for is to fold out the type of hands that we were going for. And if we think about the previous hand and we think, we got called before, I don't really feel like doing that, let's wait for a hand where we know we're in a good position. You can't play poker like that, because people are going to have good hands against you, and you're going to have good hands against them, and those hands play themselves. The hands that don't play themselves are the ones where you have to think about your decision making on every street, and that's where your edge is. That's where your money's going to be made. You're not going to make your money aces against kings, because if you've watched any of my videos, you'll know that happens just as much the other side as it does for you. So the small situations where when you can pick off a bluff on the river, they're really going to help your win rate. Another way I like to deal with beats, I mean, other than the fact that I've been getting beats like that for 10-15 years playing poker now, is just to laugh it off. Just don't take it personally, like you've made, like you're a worse player because of it, or you think you're really good and it's not fair because you're losing hands. Good players lose hands all the time, but the best players move on from those hands and win the next one, or try their best to win the next one. And you might not win that either, but that is the game that we've chosen to play. I mean, I assume if you're watching any videos like this, then you know that it's no plain sailing. Like, you're going to take some hits, you're going to have some really bad downswings, but if you play well more often than not, you're going to have your graph's going to show some good upswing as well. So I think this might be no, it's not. Guy from before. So yeah, I would say that the best thing you can do for yourself, even if no one's ever going to listen to you, or no one's even if someone is in your room, or no one's ever going to hear what you say, just talk to yourself through the hand. You'll learn how to break down hands and why you should be doing certain things, alongside helping yourself deal with beats more often and better. We're going to float this with the ace of spades against this guy who seems to be 3-betting a little bit less than he should, but that's okay. And if he bets this turn, we're going to fold. I don't know where this 4.1 shit's coming from, honestly. Now, we could bluff here, picking on a specifically ace king high, sorry. But we won't. We have some good showdown value. If we had like ace 10, I'd be pretty tempted to take some serious shots at this. And unfortunately, I'm surprised that he checked the turn. Like nines through jacks and queens and kings and aces. I can't imagine why you'd ever want to not bet. So if he no longer has ace king, unless this is the sickest ace king level ever, I am going to call here. I'm overbetting this turn. I'll explain that in a minute. I don't like that turn check. But maybe I'm just a sucker. I'm not a fan of the turn check. Because I can have loads of hands that want to call this turn. Like sevens through jacks that didn't 4-bet and queens that didn't 4-bet that might not 4-bet. Against those hands, he can put me in a real tough situation on the river when he jams, and there's not really many runouts that he's going to be worried about after the deuce. I just think he's missing value there way too often. And this situation's not going to come up very often where you know. And I have an ace as well. Like ace high is going to be a huge portion of my range that floats that flop. So it just seems like a really poor spot to be checking. To me, anyway. You want to bet your good hands, and that's a good hand. So I think, yeah. Betting there is clearly a better play for me. This is going to be a check call on the river. And we'll lose to 6-4 sometimes, but that's okay. I'd expect to maybe get raised sooner with 6-4, but I look like I have a king there, so. And he did have a slightly worse king than me. So yeah, I think that I haven't used my RNG at all again. I think that is a poor check from him on the turn, but then again, he just wins some money off me on the river that he might not have won. But I think that those times that he wins by me just calling off a river with like ace high is going to be outweighed by the amount of times that he gets value from my strong ace highs on the turn, protecting against flush draws, you know, all sorts of stuff like that. It's just so much value to be had after I float that flop. It's like ace queen high is like the only hand I'm going to have that wants to not call again, probably. So yeah, I'm not in love with his play. But, you know, again, if you disagree, that's fine. Just let me know and say what you think, because I would love to know what other people think about that. I don't really have that many people to bounce off of apart from Bean at the moment, and he's busy, so yeah. I'm going to fold here because I want a 3-bet, but he's shorter stacked. And we start with a small bet here with 2 overcards and a backdoor flush draw. A good turn to check back. Our hand's got a lot less potential now. It's a pretty good river. And we're going to go for a bet. I would expect him to bet a 7, so I think he could have a 10 here quite often. Or he's just going to have like 8-9 and just have to fold. So I think against a 10 we're trying to specifically get value from, we should go for a slightly bigger bet, because I don't think he can fold a 10. We didn't talk about that hand I overbet with. It's just to build a pot. It's just to build a pot against, I mean, there's loads of stuff that I'm going to want to do this with, like spades, and like king 10 and with a spade and stuff like that, to build a pot to either bluff him out of or win a bigger pot with. And my hand's quite vulnerable. Don't want to see cheap 10s and 9s and kings coming off, you know. So that's why I like to overbet in those spots and balance that out with some sets and straights and some bluffs. Couple hundred hands to go, maybe less. Opening up the small blind with ace jack off, obviously, and giving up my 8s. Gonna call to see a jack. Starting small with the ace jack with the ace of spades. Gonna get a whole bunch of folds. A whole bunch of folds from this. It's just, you're gonna get folds there so often. Gonna steal with the a7, hopefully. And the 7-5, hopefully. Yeah. It's about as much as gone right for me today in terms of results. In terms of my play, I think we've been largely okay and some questionable areas. This is going to get loads of folds as well. Just one of those spots that's going to be horrible for his range. 3-betting the jack 10 suited. Even when you're losing, keep making the right decisions. It might suck to put 12 big blinds in with jack 10 suited sometimes in the small blind against someone with a lot of chips, but that's just how it is. You just have to keep pressing the buttons that make the most sense. Never let a previous hand, unless you're using it as like a, obviously you know someone has a high propensity to do something. If you're talking about alternate opponents here, never let a hand against another opponent affect what you do against a different opponent, because of what happened in that hand before. Every situation is its own individual situation, unless you have a specific history with somebody. And I made a video on that before that didn't actually get many views. It was one of my favorite videos actually, about a guy that just kept spewing into me, and I made some really questionable plays that only made a lot of sense on that note. This guy called this the big blind and then just decided to bet this turn. I'm not folding to that. With ace high, yeah. So yeah, that's a good takeaway as well. Either by the results of the previous hand or how that previous hand made you feel. Don't let those two things affect the way you play another hand against someone else. Chuck in those 12 big blinds with jack 10 suited. Don't wait for nut spots just because you're annoyed and you think everyone's going to win no matter what you do, because that's not true. A pink under the gun. Last time I read, I really don't want to not see the value from this hand against a pink in position, so I'd much rather take a flop than raise myself out of one, if that makes sense. And I'm going to have to go ahead and protect my hand here. And probably going to check again here and value bet this river. Seems good. So this guy called this in. What happened here? Oh, I might have missed something here. Maybe this guy wasn't under the gun, or this guy limped under the gun. I don't know. Regardless, we're going to obviously bet this turn. And on the larger side as well, because we can set up for a river. That's, I think, a very bad card. Obviously, we're going to win, but we're not going to lose, I should say. But we're going to win a lot less often than we did before. And now he has maybe a jack, which is great, because if he had a queen, he would have called already. And I went for all of it because I think it's going to be tough for him to fold a jack. I don't think he I'd much preferred a non like 2-pair on the board card, and maybe I could have bet less there on the river to target specifically a jack, because you're just going to shove or call with a queen anyway, and he might fold to that with a jack. So maybe a smaller bet would have been a lot better. In fact, I'm definitely leaning towards that being the case. But I did size the turn to shove river at the same time, so I don't know. I do like the idea of betting smaller there. So we flop top set here, and on this board it's like slightly more connected, and we're a bit deeper. So I'm going to go more than I would normally. Normally I'd bet a little bit smaller, but he's going to have to continue a bit more often. So I think doing that is good. The turn is not the best turn, but we do have the Queen of Hearts, which is a slight relief. But we could be in a bit of trouble here. Obviously, we're not considering anything but trying to get the rest of the chips in. And I think that betting again is going to be our go-to play there. Seems pretty good. Seems pretty good. See if I've got any bonuses to redeem. Probably should check that first. PokerStars FC. No, it looks all crap to me. Fold the king queen. It's not strong enough to stand out of position against early position raise and an early position of 3-bet. This guy is a huge nit. A huge nit. So if he 3-bets, we're going to be very, very careful. But we do have a great hand against the nit. So we'll see. So you can see we're rallying a little bit, and we've completely forgotten about those other hands that sucked. And we're just cracking on, making good decisions, and we're making a small rally. Obviously, we're a little bit still down, but that's fine. We've rallied, and it's important to keep making good decisions always. We're going to fold this turn. We're going to have better hands than that. I have a few jacks in my range that I can continue with there, which means I can fold in that situation. And I think this is just a bit rubbish. I'm going to call with the king of spades and then side fold the turn. Not even side fold, just happily fold. 3-bet the ace king and go the distance. Folding here, folding here. I'd like to see maybe one more like interesting situation that we can go through before this is over. We've got a lot of hands to go. I mean, we got completely owned in the first 100 hands, so there's lots of opportunities for more dirtiness. I will check this. I probably have to call once here with a gut shot. Deeper. That's a turn card that we don't mind. And he does check, and now I think he's going to have an ace that he checked back a lot, and we have to just charge that ace that's never going to be able to fold river, and then everything else he's just going to have to fold. And we would have, by the way, obviously, in that situation, hopefully found another way to win that other than Bing King or King. Opening up the ace-10 on the small blind, picking up some blinds, keeping yourself ticking over. In the anti-games, I feel that's really important. I've stolen loads of pots in the button. People don't seem interested in defending, so... I mean, I'm probably over-defending with like 9-4 of spades against under the gun, but I just don't like to fold when I'm getting really good odds with even remotely playable hands. I'm going to open both of these because, like I said, people are just over-folding. This guy's a nit. This guy I don't know. Palacius Pock. This guy is the one that checked the turn with kings. I can't remember what orange means. Oh, the boots, the aces, the Anaheim Angels, the back. And then this is where this image seems to work quite well, because we're 27, 20, 12. we look pretty aggressive. We are pretty aggressive. And then when you get aces, you don't look like this guy. And everyone knows what you have. So very clear. Out of position. Want to make this slightly bigger. We'll go for 22. And we get a fold, but that's okay. 7.1. Get your pink tag. So yeah, we're out of position, so we 3-bet slightly bigger. I don't think that's even that too big, but obviously is what we're doing with aces there, and we'd balance that out with like some maybe king queen off kind of crap, and ace 5 suited is my favorite hand to do that with. Interesting. Die 8 with a cold call. And then a 4-bet. Don't like where this is going. So I'm gonna hop out now. Against under the gun raises, I tend to be a little bit more cautious. Obviously we have to 3-bet, but then I think when someone says here's 24 big blinds, you have to say, okay, that is 24 big blinds. Don't think 10s are gonna be doing very well at all there in that situation, I'm not gonna lie. I'm going to fold here with the 3s. If he had more chips, I would call. Defend the ace-9, because how can you not? Could probably call once there, but fold the small blind with there. Open this if it gets to us somehow. Open up the king 6 as well. Got some nits, have we? No, this guy seems pretty half aggressive, but I'm still going to open. Get a fold and a call. I think checking and ace-high could still be good here, but I just don't like bluffing with every hand, because then you just have way too many bluffs. You have to give up some stuff. And you still have ace high, right? So if you had like, you know, you can still win with ace high. If you're going to bluff, you might want to choose something a bit more shit that has no chance of winning at showdown. Looks like we're getting 3-bet here, which we'll not be too happy about. No, good. We're very, very happy about winning the 3.1. Yeah, so from 2.5 to 3.1 is the pot when you steal. Obviously, that includes your effort. But yeah, stealing the extra 0.6 is just... when you play a lot of hands, it means it makes a huge difference. Like, I pretty much won most of these half stacks back with just raising and everyone folding. They go unnoticed, but they're really important. 4:30, so not many to go. I think we're probably down a buy-in now, but we did have that hand where we got owned by the deuces on the river, so I think that I didn't actually factor that in. So I think we're probably, yeah, we're probably down like $12 or something. 1.2 buy-ins. But again, I think we played fine. I think honestly we played fine. I think there's one hand that if I could have back, it would be the ace queen, where I jammed the river and I could have bet smaller again on the queen queen jack jack. That would have been my preference. I think I just didn't stop to think because I sized the turn to jam, and then once I made a boat, I was like, okay, then it seems pretty good. I don't think it can be too bad, but I do think that I could have bet smaller there. Would have been good. Defending the king 7 and checking checking back, and checking hopefully this turn with king high. Don't expect him to bet with ace high. Don't expect him to fold ace high, so there's no point in betting it either. And now we have just a fold. Couple of folds. Couple of folds. Open up the ace deuce and the ace king. Label this guy. Against this guy's size, like stack size, we can't really do anything. Can't really take a flop very profitably. Can't really bluff very profitably. So yeah, no. We'll just take that as a fold. Seems pretty good. A limp under the gun from a 40 blind stack. We are going to isolate, but okay. Maybe we'll make this 5 big blinds. Okay, this guy is getting pinked. I expect this guy to call along, especially with this guy in here. I'm in position. I like the way this is going. I don't like the flop. I think bluffing is going to be a mistake. He might just decide to go all in if I bet, and we won't get to realize any of our equity. I think betting small on this turn seems fine. Trying to pick it up. And now we either have to rip it or check, and I think that this kind of player just doesn't fold. Even though that's kind of the kind of hand I expect him to have, that he just played that so badly. Oh god. We could have maybe gone for it on that river. But it's just not going to be that profitable. He's gonna hang on with so much crap. Maybe even he would have hung on with that. So I'm not going to concern myself too much with that spot. I think even actually would have preferred to just not bet the turn in hindsight. But who knows what kind of fucking range of hands he has when he limps under the gun and then calls 5 big blinds. I don't know. Just call this flop. It's not going to be great for us very often. We're not going to want to raise too often. And then when he bets the turn, like our hand turns into like almost a marginal one. And then the river's pretty good. We're going to have to bet small because it's going to be really hard for him to call. But I don't want to bet too small because I don't want it to look like I'm just value betting. It needs to look like I could be, you know, because I think that even though I think a lot of people perceive bigger bets to be bluffier and little bets to be value-y. So I did want to have some sort of, what is this nonsense? I don't even misclicked, but I'm just going to play it safe with a pink and then call. And then fold. So 30 hands left. Yeah, there's a couple of spots now where I'm a bit disappointed in myself, but that's fine because you can't just expect to come back after however long and just be playing at your peak. That's just not how poker works at all. If it did work like that, then everyone would be winning a lot of money. And these very complicated decisions that you have to make all the time. And if you're not mentally ready for them, then you will make mistakes. And if you're just rusty, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes no matter what. I just don't like calling in the small blind, so I'm not going to. I can open 6-5 under the gun in an anti-game. I think if you're going to open this kind of hand, though, you need to be prepared to defend against 3 bets more often than I have been. Because they're playable hands. They play quite well in 3-bet pots. Couple of folds here and about 10 hands to go. So takeaways. I think I've played just a bit better than I thought I probably would, and we've dealt with like some important concepts regarding mental game, which I think is important. Oh, hello. It's good for his range, this board, quite often. So, oh damn it, he's only got 23. That's so annoying. Could have played a really big pot here, either bluffing or making a hand. Anyway, we've dealt with some important concepts such as mental game, and talking yourself through hands and stuff. Like I said, I find that really helpful to me. Bad flop here, we're just gonna give up. Really helpful to me to stay on track no matter what happens in my game. I always know that if I'm talking through the spots, I'm making good decisions. So I would practice that. Even if you might sound like a crazy person, I'll probably sound crazy to the people around me at the moment in my neighboring flats, but I don't care because it's about improving. And we've had the results been disappointing, but our play's been fine. And whenever you can say that your play's been fine, mostly, like, can I say that if I played this way every day, then I'd make money? I think I probably would. Can't imagine that I wouldn't. So that's the main thing. You have to be able to tell yourself, like, these things happen. I've had some rough spots. Could have played better in some others, but I've had pretty much close to nothing going my way. I don't think I've won a single big pot. I don't think I've had a caller against anybody, and I've probably suffered 3 or 4 in the opposite direction, which could very well have gone my way, and I would have been looking at a 2 or 3 bind win for the day. I don't know why I opened this. I thought it was Jack 9. I'm not gonna lie. We're gonna start sitting out. I meant to click big blind there, but yeah. Just again, thanks for people commenting and stuff. I'm gonna reply to those now as I'm uploading this video. Just got a couple of things to do, and then I'm gonna do that. But yeah, thanks for the 100 subscribers. Like, doesn't sound like a lot, but to me, it's pretty cool. We've got 1,000 views on one of the videos, which is great. So yeah, appreciate everyone's contributions in whatever form they take, and I will endeavor to make a lot more videos over the course of the next month. I'm trying to do 2 or 3 a week, so yeah, stay tuned for that, and thanks very much for watching.